Thank you. The camera started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Backtracking, the first episode of season 2. So, quick pop quiz for you. What do you get when you take the sound of Korn's self-titled debut album, add in the screams of Pete Loeffler from Chevelle, and mix it with the weird tone signatures and grittiness of Tool? With that last part being less apparent as it goes on, but whatever. I'll tell you, you'd probably get something pretty cool, but more importantly, you'd get Stained. Just to clarify, that's the name of the band that I'm covering for this episode. I doubt you'll get any Stained yourself if you chose to concoct the bands I suggested earlier. That would just be weird. Anyway, back to the band themselves. They're currently on an extended hiatus right now, with their future kind of uncertain. And considering this is their second breakup, with their first in 2011 and their second one being in 2014, Stained's future does not look too bright, which might or might not help considering the murky waters of their musical past, which I had to trudge through to bring into this episode. I make it sound like it was a chore, it really wasn't. But yeah, it's a weird metaphor for you. You can live by it if you so wish. This episode, this band, was requested by the awesome unicorn pug Tiger Lady. That is my friend Scarlett Severhart, who you should totally follow on Instagram at Scarlett Red with Envy. Do it. And also, this is the premiere episode of season 2 of Backtracking, so let's get this on like Donkey Kong. I'm so excited for this. As always, we start with debut albums, and this one is their self-released 1996 debut called Tormented. You know those other bands' influences that I mentioned in the intro to the video? Well, their styles are more apparent on this album than on any of their others, in my opinion. It's odd considering that the album was released and produced by the band themselves to, at the time, a very limited audience with very few copies actually put out. You'd think that all the sounds that they mishmashed together would get messy. It actually turns out sounding pretty good over the album's 72-minute runtime, the longest in the band's history. In fact, the ugliest thing is probably the cover art, which just looks ugly and kind of creepy and spooky. Anyway, besides that is the album's concept, which is about a man committing suicide. No, that's not much better. He cocks a gun at the start of the album, at the start of the opening track, Tolerate, sorry. I suppose the majority of the songs after that describing how shite his life is in dealing with depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, animosity, pain. And in the final track of Four Walls, he shoots himself in the end, and then there's the hidden track Funeral as well. Despite the grim concept, the album itself is really, really good. It's a really good testament to the angsty days of alternative and new metal and grunge, especially in the mid-90s when the genres were getting more popular at the time. Lead singer Aaron Lewis has always had this deep, really dark ring to his voice. And he's got some really good throat-tearing screams as well, all of which complements his really good lyrical work, which look into depression and anxiety and so on. Guitarist Mike Mushock provides some really good riffs, as well as performing the spoken word segments of the album. He's also a really good guitarist when it comes to solos, but I'll get to that later. Bassist Johnny April and drummer John Wysocki provide a great backdrop for the album's sound. For a debut, they really went all out, and it's often called their heaviest album, and it's not hard to see why. Standout songs include Self-Destruct, No One's Kind, Tolerate, the more ballady Four Walls, and my standout is in See-Through. Tormented is a really great first effort from the band. It's a fantastic start, and it's definitely worth listening in my opinion. And we followed their debut with their second album, Dysfunction, released in 1999, featuring a much less gruesome looking cover art, this time only having a really creepy ass looking clown on the front. The album has a lot more balance to it. It's where Stained started to sound more like themselves, mostly with the help of Limp Bizkit frontman / instigator Fred Durst, who discovered the band when they were opening for Limp Bizkit in 1997, even though Fred tried to remove Stained from the concert, mostly due to the cover of Tormented. Fred was impressed by the band's performance. After hearing a 4-song demo of theirs, he signed them to Flip Electro Records, and even had a hand in the production, along with a dude named Terry Date, whoever that is, as well as helping to guide the band's sound a lot more, suggesting that they be more melodic. Hang on, let me take a drink. Yes. Anyway, the man in the red cap's advice worked really well for the band, it seems. Aaron's vocals sound more like himself, I guess. His screams so much more clearer and more his own, rather than trying to copy someone. The guitar, drumming, and bass all works out just really, really well, providing an amazing sound. The production isn't too bad either, and helps to make Dysfunction sound like a more natural progression from Tormented. It's not oversaturated and still sounds really, really amazing. Standout songs include Me, Just Go, A Flat, Crawl, and my favourite, In Butt Trouble, which was reworked in both song and title, the original spelled trouble with a U and 7-0, and the song itself became the band's biggest song, really. It's their breakthrough song, single, whatever. If you like Tormented, then everything that you liked about it has worked way, way better in Dysfunction. It's probably my favourite album by the band. It's definitely worth a go. Next up is the band's third album, Break the Cycle, released in 2001. It's considered to be the album that brought them into the mainstream. It's also the first album that I listened to by them. On Christmas of 2007, my uncle got me this album, along with The Black Pride by My Chemical Romance and Nirvana by Nirvana, which is a compilation album of their best stuff. Anyway, back on the topic at hand. Break the Cycle, despite having a mixed response from critics, it's considered by many to be their best work. I don't personally believe it's their best, but it's a really good album and does not deserve the hate that people spewed at the time of its release. Being produced by Josh Abrams this time around, who's always been good behind the booth. The band's sound is just much more polished on this album. Sure, there are much slower songs, but that's the style Staind became known for by this point. There's less aggression. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though. It's the first album to feature Aaron Lewis taking on rhythm guitar duties, and whilst Dysfunction was the first album for Johnny Aaron to provide backing vocals, he sounds so much better on Break the Cycle. It's nice to hear a backing vocalist that isn't trying to do an impression of the main singer, and he provides a much softer tone to Aaron's deeper voice. Standout songs include Outside, Open Your Eyes, Spin a While Change, and my top pick is personally For You. Basically, everything that you liked about Dysfunction is stepped up massively in Break the Cycle. It's definitely worth a shot, and it's the album that made the band. It put them on the map, really. It's really good. Next is the band's fourth album, 14 Shades of Grey, released in 2003. It's the band's last album under the Elektra label, and it continues the more post-grunge sound that they explored on Break the Cycle. With slightly less poppy stuff, it's still a bit of a slow album, in all honesty. It's not terrible, but it just got tiring after a bit. For me, anyway. The overall sound was driven more by Aaron Lewis's emotions, which are very much where the band get most of the songwriting from. And I get it, emotions fuel music. It's a perfect marriage that goes hand in hand. But it felt like there was just too much of that here, and after 3 albums of that formula, it can get kind of predictable. Josh Abrams stays on as producer, but as good a job as he doesn't save the album completely. Aaron's vocals sound droning at worst. When I said slightly less poppy stuff earlier, I did kind of mean it, but the poppy stuff mixed with heavy stuff and Break the Cycle gave that album balance. On here, that balance is just kind of forgotten. It's dragged out, being with clubs, and the band just sounds bored, like they're not having fun, and I don't like it when a band sounds like they're not having fun. The instrumental work is kind of forgettable at times, and it just sounds like Aaron is more at the forefront of things, which makes the overall sound kind of dull. Grey even, Waka Waka. Regardless, even bad albums aren't without good songs. Standouts include So Far Away, Price to Pay, Reality, and my favourite, In Zoe Jane, which is a song dedicated to Aaron's daughter. It's a sweet ballad that stands out amongst the other songs on the album. Give 14 Shades at least one try before completely disregarding it. It's not the band's best, but I wouldn't listen to it more than once personally. It's probably my least favourite by them. Next is the band's 5th album, Chapter 5, In the Shape of a V. Oh god, I'm swearing at people. Released in 2005. Sticking with Flip but trading Elektra for Atlantic Records, which is a good company, we'll see. The album has much more balance to it than 14 Shades of Grey. Granted, this does not make the album that much better than 14 Shades, but it's a huge step up in the right direction. My main issue is that while Chapter 5 does have more heaviness, it just gets masked too much by the production, handled this time by the band themselves as well as some dude named David Bottrill. Everything sounds too polished, and Aaron doesn't really use his harsh vocals enough to justify the instruments, which are heavy as balls on the album, I'll say. Not as heavy as balls as Dysfunctional Tormented, but slightly heavier balls than on 14 Shades of Grey. Even with this bit of balance in the heavy balls, the album still feels like it's kind of missing something. Aaron himself called the album the band's best. I kind of have to disagree. 5 is my favourite number, but it doesn't really equate to my feelings on the album. Don't get me wrong, I don't fully hate the album as much as I'm making it sound like I do. It's a good step up and has more balance than 14 Shades, but not enough. All band members do a decent enough job, but it's nowhere they haven't been before. Standout songs include Devil, Schizophrenic Conversations, King of All Excuses, Failing, and my favourite in Baby Jesus. Give Chapter 5 a listen, and if you like it, try it again. It's better than 14 Shades, but still feels a bit naff to listen to. Not naff, just dull, kind of. Yeah. Next is album 6. I'll try that again. Next is album 6 in The Illusion of Progress. Let me take a drink. Released in 2008, staying with Flip and Atlantic, and this time adding the world-renowned Roadrunner Records, which is a really fun tongue twister. Illusion of Progress is much more balanced than Chapter 5 tried to be, and definitely way better than 14 Shades of Grey. Sure, it's a slow album, and most of the songs are over 4 minutes long, which is kind of stretching it, but not too thin, which is a good thing. I don't like thin. I like my songs to have curves, damn it. Why did I say that? Anyway, the band themselves stay behind the production booth once again, this time with the assistance of Johnny K. Yeah. They all come together to produce and mix up a really good sounding album. The instruments and the vocals are equal to each other, which I quite like, and Aaron's lyrics have improved, this time sounding more positive than any of their previous work. It's a nice little spin on an old sound that the band's been doing for damn near 10 years by the release of this album. Sure, the songs do occasionally drag things out and sound kind of samey, and it can get a bit boring at times, but it doesn't do either of those two things too much. It's a solid, balanced, and surprisingly positive output by the band, probably their nicest album, I would say. Standout songs include Believe, Raining Again, Breakaway, The Beautiful Closer, Nothing Left to Say, and my favourite song in Pardon Me. The Illusion of Progress is a good progression for the band if you'll excuse the pun. Give it a listen, it just might surprise you like it did for me. And finally, we have the band's self-titled final album, released in 2011. It was released shortly before their first hiatus and not long after it came out. But my original drummer John Wasocki left the band. In terms of record label, the band are without Flip for the first time, having Atlantic and Roadrunner only backing them, and we're saying themselves and Johnny came once again behind the production booth. The album itself is the shortest by the band in terms of runtime at just over 42 minutes, and in terms of number of tracks with only 10. But despite this, the album makes a huge impact. It's a return to the heavy roots and is described by the members as what dysfunction would sound like in the modern day, or 2011 rather. I like the idea of that, being the first album since Tormented to feature guitar solos, which is a shame considering how talented a guitarist Mike Moonshock is. The album is a fantastic return to form for the band. Aaron's vocals once again have that balance of screaming and singing and just this great edge to them, and he knows what to do and when to do it when it comes to his voice. And he gives a great performance in the album with a surprising amount of range. His riffs have improved also on the rhythm guitar, providing a great jug along with Moonshock's leads and scales and solos. Johnny and John Wasocki continue to kill it in bass and drums respectively, and all the members coalesce to make it a really good sounding album. It does suck that the band is now taking a break. If they did properly split up after this album's release, then this would be a really good high note for them, I feel. But since they're not fully done, this album bears, for now, a little glimmer of hope that something might happen for them soon. Standout songs include Not Again, Eyes Wide Open, Wannabe, Failing, and my favourite track, In the Bottom. Wait, no, I'm not taking that back, my favourite track is In the Bottom. Stain's self-titled album is a damn good one and definitely worth a listen to several. It's a good return to form in a modern age for them, and I highly, highly recommend it. It's really good. So that's the episode. I hope that you all enjoyed it. Obviously, my favourite album was Dysfunction. My least favourite was 14 Shades of Grey. But yeah, I hope that you all enjoyed it, especially you, Scarlett. You're awesome. Follow her on Instagram at Scarlett Redder with MV. She posts really good pictures of herself, of her makeup stuff, and of her vegan food, because she's making a change in her life, and she can do whatever the hell she wants, because she's fantastic. Anyway, yeah, Scarlett, if you are watching this, which I'm sure you are because you requested this episode, you're awesome, and you always will be, and I love you. Anyway, next time is going to be... it's going to be a really, really fucking weird episode, I won't lie to you, as I'll be covering the Japanese band Maximum the Hormone. I'm looking forward to it, to be honest, as weird as it's going to be. So I'll see you all then. Take care, and bye-bye. And you're all fantastic. And so is Scarlett. Adios.